Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and behold, the age of the primes has started. Courtesy of Toy Snowman. Uh, that's the store's name. I don't know if it's one person. Maybe it's a snowman and a snow woman, and they have a little snow family. And of course, let's not forget the difference between a snowman and a snow woman is snowballs. I thank you. And for those of you that will be staying with the review after that really bad joke, yes, this is going to be a full-length video. Relax. How you doing? How's the family? This is Voyager class Autobot Red Alert from the Age of the Primes. And again, I got this from the Toy Snowman, which is based out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I do believe it. It is Canadian. Hopefully I have that area right. But did he do a little expedited shipping just to make sure to get it in time. Now, apparently, these are showing up on shelves in Canada. Uh, no domestic U.S. sightings yet, but probably sooner than later since Amazon has been pushing up their dates from early May to the middle of April, so who knows? But this is based on the Armada Universe design. And in fact, if this was a legacy figure, it probably would say Armada Universe. That's an important designation because there was also a Cybertron Universe Red Alert. Now, that figure was repainted into the character Cannonball, who we just got as a Walmart exclusive towards the twilight days of Legacy United. Actually, sort of like in the middle, so not the twilight, but it was a Walmart exclusive. That was a repaint with a new head of a repaint retool of legacy skids. There's about 7 or 8 different versions. They repaint skids with a new head and they retool it. I think it was into Crankcase, and then Crankcase had a repaint with a new head, and then that got repainted again with Cannonball with some new accessories. But this is the Armada version. Um, Unfortunately, there's no lights or sounds or anything, no mini con, none of the fun gimmicks that were part of Armada Red Alert. I mean, you do have some of the play features, but they're not mini con activated. For example, you can flip out what was the missile launching toy. The grill cannot open up. None of the side panels can flip out. But this does roll very nicely. It's a nice 4x4. Keep in mind in Japan this was Ratchet, so I kind of see it. There's the Autobot medic symbol because can't use the Red Cross. And also I should mention all the accessories are stored here in the vehicle. Really should mention that there's 3 different attachments, either for Red Alert's hand or to go into the gun. So really not much more to say about the vehicle mode. It does look very nice and what I remember of that Armada toy, which I have somewhere. Um, But to start the transformation, you actually want to come around behind here, and you're going to separate the legs from this back panel section, and then you're going to flip the whole sheboygan up. Actually, what you want to do, when I say flip the whole sheboygan, you're really going to grab that front end, bring it down, and friction the waist into place. And then what you can do is, if they haven't already, the arms are supposed to be pegged together, so they'll unpeg, and you'll flip them out on those inside joints there. And if you look, there's the first accessory. Now this is actually, I believe, meant to be the claw that launched from the missile launcher on the original toy. It was like a claw missile. Unfortunately, this can't store in the blaster, obviously, as you can see, and it actually sits, as you'll see in a moment, it sits out a little bit farther than what the missile would. So for that accurate look, you would probably leave this detached. But I'm going to put this off to the side, but you can also leave it stored in there for robot mode. And then to flip up this panel, there's a tab there that's going to go into a slot there. And then we're going to leave this back section up just for a second, as we're going to come down here and this will be the feet, and instead of folding at the legs, they actually fold at the shin, and they're going to snap into place just like so. And that will allow you to bring down the backpack here. And again, there's another tab, another slot, and that will secure the backpack. Now, when you get the figure out, this windshield section might be folded up. Just push that down. And also, we can see from inside the legs now the other blaster accessories. So to save some time, I'm just going to go ahead and fish those out. These are a little more classic to the toy. You have the single-barreled blaster, which is what Red Alert used 90% of the time, 95. And then there's this tri-barreled blaster, just like that. Coming around to the front, what I would do now is you're going to have to flip out the heels, and these come actually folded up in the packaging. So I flip those out and then flip the foot down, just like so. You can flip the foot down first if you would like. The heels are a little stiff, and in fact, a lot of the joints on my copy of this figure are stiff. But here's Red Alert standing up, and let me just adjust the camera ever so slightly. And one thing I should mention is that these side panels can rotate. I really don't know why. Maybe it's for like just to help move stuff out of the way. But there's no. I mean, Red Alert did have a Minicon Bay repair feature where you could just like flip the panel down, which you were shown to do in robot mode, but was actually meant for vehicle mode, and you actually ended up stressing the plastic. But none of this flips down, so maybe it's just a little wink and a nod to that original gimmick. But now we have the figure standing up. We're just about done. What you want to do is rotate the doors so that they're facing up. And then on very tight elbow joints for me, flip out the arms. Oof, very tight. And again, in case many of you are going to ask, no, you cannot transform the arm with a blaster attached. I did try that. It was one of the first things I tried. Did not work. What you want to do now is hold the door with one hand and pull down on the arm because it does tab into place there, and then rotate right at the bicep so that it's basically facing forward. You know you're facing the right way when the elbow joint is facing forward. So there you go. You got that done. Now come in here, unpeg this panel from the hinge there, fold down this, flip up the head here, just like that. Flip in this panel here, tuck it up, and fold that down. And here you have Red Alert in its robot mode. Let's go ahead and give it its little blaster accessory. Now, I'm not really sure how this is supposed to go. You can have it with the fin up or out to the side. I don't think it really matters either way. And what is also really cool is, much like on the original toy, the gun can flip around up and over the shoulder, like so. Can peg the claw in, and you can remove it because it does come attached in the packaging, and it can be held, which I believe is how Red Alert handled it most of the time. I mean, going back to, I'm trying to remember Armada, and I do just flip that back out of the way, but am trying to remember Armada, and um, I do just remember that animation sequence where he would just flip the gun would flip out and he would catch it in his hand. I don't remember on the original toy if the attachments could transform while the figure could transform with the attachments attached. But let's go ahead and now pop on this tri-barrel blaster. And of course, since we're here, I'll just show you that they can just peg right back in on the side here. If you can just get it. There we go. There we go. Nice and snug, and it does hold. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint. Do you have a waist swivel? Oh, you do have a waist swivel, but it is kind of blocked by the backpack. Um, you do have those armpit joints right there, shoulder, universal hinge, very tight elbow joints as you saw, universal hip joints, swivel here, very tight knee joints to the point where uh, when I was first trying to transform this figure, I ended up uh, bending it at the shin and not the knee. But as you can see, with the ankle pivot and the heels, you can get some nice, um, you, uh, deep poses and stuff like that. It's a sturdy figure, kind of dense. In terms of hollow, you got some hollow bits here. Obviously, the backpack, but what are you going to do about the backpack? I mean, the inside of these panels here, but they're supposed to be hollow. That's where you store the accessories. So, yeah, really cool figure overall. Glad I got it. That's always an important part is to be sure you're glad you actually made the purchase. I'm sure when I see this going for $15 on Amazon, or hearing about, 15, $10 at Walmart or Target, I'm going to regret paying what I did. But hey, I was able to bring it to you guys. And at the end of the day, I think that's a little more important. So, how about we pause and we'll come back and I'll give you my final thought. One thing I can't believe I almost forgot to mention that I just learned about this figure, and actually this character, the head. The head is clearly based on RoboCop, the original 1987-86 version. I forget when the movie came out. Which I find kind of interesting because in 1987, G.I. Joe released the character Sci-Fi, whose helmeted head and face was based on RoboCop as well. Something that when they did the reissue during I think it was Pursuit of Cobra line or something like that, or maybe during like that era, it was brought up and mentioned again that it was meant to be RoboCop. So I think that is kind of cool that that got worked into Transformers and that people at Hasbro were that big of fans of RoboCop, just like I am. Uh, but all in all, Red Alert is a fantastic figure. I do appreciate how, for the most part, it is faithful to the original toy. Obviously, if they were going to put in some sort of opening grill gimmick or something, uh, that would have made the chest a lot bigger. And if you're not going to include the pressure launcher, what's the point? It would have been nice to have had the Minicon included, but unfortunately, Hasbro, their pricing structures, um, they're really all over the board in that when it comes to stuff like that, and that could have actually bumped the price up to some sort of like deluxe figure assortment. But seeing as how we have two Armada figures that need their minicons, perhaps we'll get a couple more, and then we can get a set with the of the minicons. Making that money. Now, of course, all that being said, the cost of figures going up, tariffs, yada yada, that's all looming. So if you're nostalgic for Red Alert, definitely this is worth a pickup of the Armada version, I should say. Um, if you're not, well, I think this is a fine figure and a great update to, I mean, what you're seeing here in terms of articulation, actually that figure from 25 years ago could pull off. So this is a great homage to that what many people consider the last great era of Hasbro Transformers with the chunky figures, uh, gimmicks, but introducing that more modern articulation. So all in all, I think it's a purchase. Now with it being a Wave 1 figure, you might take the chance and wait for a sale, but I should mention, as Hasbro has said a few times, they do plan on cutting back on production runs so there isn't as much leftover stale stock on shelves to go on clearance or to closeout. So there's a good chance that Red Alert, uh, once stores sell through of that first wave, if they do, it might be gone. Just saying. So hopefully I've given you some stuff to think about. That's about it for the review. If you like the review, like, comment, and subscribe. While I appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions, help communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. Link in the description below. Um, all I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, if you can't afford $1 a month or $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae, which is YouTube, being able to do this for you. And I especially want to say thank you to all of you who have been supporting the 3-minute review format. I've been having a good time with it. It's been getting more content out, and let's be honest, even I can't take myself for that long. So that's about it. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for Armada Red Alert. We will see you next time.